all my heavy hitters and lockdown defenders. What's happening on this good Thursday? I got two-thirds of the hit squad here with me. Coach Mike Dub is missing, but we're here today to bring you some good predictions for head coaches. We're going to talk about exactly with 9 openings now. My God, I mean, it's it's over what is a third of the league now?
Yeah, just under.
Yeah, crazy times. We'll have 9 new head coaches next year. That's insane. That's insane. But luckily for us on this panel, we don't have to worry about that.
Nope, right? We're good.
No, we need OCs and DCs, RG, but
that's a different story. We'll save that for the offseason.
I'm hoping we'll need an OC, but
true. Well, you don't really need one. Let's be honest.
Not one.
Well, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so we got 9 coaching vacancies to discuss. We're going to get into it. We're going to give you our predictions based upon the hot candidates or who we think is going to be the best fits for each team and why. I'll give you a brief overview of why we believe that those guys will fit well and do well in their organization. So we'll go top to bottom, like I said, 1 through 9. And we won't really rank them, but we're going to go through all 9 teams, and we're going to get right into who we think should fit. So starting off with the hot button news in regards to the Steelers having an opening. Mike Tomlin, my God, still can't believe that. But yeah, where are they going? What's the best prediction that we can give you for 2026? Man, it's gonna be an interesting year. It's a lot of defensive coaches, a lot of defensive minded coaches as well. That's something we need to point out. A lot of candidates have defensive minded coaches in the pipeline. So what's that gonna mean for the offensive coordinators that they hire? That's another conversation. Yeah, maybe that's another video we'll do down the line. But yeah, who's their offensive guy? Because we've always said, I've been an advocate of this statement. If you're defensive minded head coach, you got to smash the OC. Got to have a smashing OC. So we'll see. We'll see. So let's start off with RG. Let's talk about his 3 teams he's going to discuss. And on the board here now is 9 vacancies we have: Ravens, Steelers, Giants, Falcons, Titans, Dolphins, Cardinals, Browns. I say Ravens and Raiders. I think I said both of them. Okay. Yeah. So those are 9.
No one's gonna knock you for just glossing over the Raiders. Let's be honest.
That is a fact. That is a fact. I did say Raiders. I did say Raiders. It's okay. So in your hot coaching candidates, you got John Harbaugh, Jesse Minter, Brian Daboll, Kevin Stefanski, Brian Flores, Mike McDaniel, Robert Saleh, Jeff Hafley, and Chris Shula. Those are the guys that have been bouncing around and getting all these interviews for different teams, and they get racking up their frequent flyer mileage. I say that because they're either zooming or flying everywhere to interview. So we'll see. So no news is broke as of yet. As the recording of this video, no news is broke of yet. So this is straight off the cuff, and hopefully we can get a good percentage of being right. So all right, RG. So for your pool of teams, you got the Ravens, the Raiders, and the Giants. So top to bottom, tell me exactly who you think will be the best fit for those teams and why.
Yeah, so starting off with the Ravens, I think the best fit absolutely has to be Robert Saleh. I think they're looking for a defensive-minded head coach, and Jesse Minter fits this mold as well, but I just think that Robert Saleh is a bit more experienced. He kind of fits a little bit into more as to what the Ravens do. They need a I don't want to say a leader by example, but he's, been there, done that, been to a Super Bowl, has, I don't want to say championship pedigree, but winning pedigree. Obviously the Jets, floundered, but that's a team that didn't have an interception this year, even with another defensive minded head coach. Yeah. So take that for what you will. And exactly, it's just the Jets. At least Saleh was able to get a couple picks from that defense out of him. So right. I think it just makes the most sense in the world. He's, again, regarded as one of the top DCs in this league. That's something that the owner, Steve Bisciotti, has said is something that they're looking for, is, a defensive-minded head coach. He's worked with the Ravens' current general manager, Joe Douglas, who was with the Niners. He was with him for nearly 4 years back in Saleh's first stint with the Niners as their DC. So already some familiarity there and comfortability with the GM. So that's just something, another connection. It makes it such an easier transition to guys who have already worked together in some kind of caliber. And I think, obviously the Jets didn't go well, but just having that head coaching experience and showing, that defense was playing fantastic under him. They just couldn't get the QB position right, which if you're not able to get that right, you're really not going to ever compete. And in that division, we look how tough it is now with the Patriots and the Bills. Yeah, that's rough. Tua was also in, when he was at his peak, at his absolute peak, Saleh was the head coach. So just a lot of things went wrong. I don't think anybody blames him for kind of flaming out there. So I think it makes the most sense. I think it fits, checks all the boxes that the Ravens are looking for at a head coach. And I really wouldn't be surprised to see him land there in Baltimore.
I like it. So, and he has two things going for him in Baltimore that he didn't have for the Jets: a stable organization and a quarterback.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So
Well, I would say too, like Saleh showed enough promise in his first year at the Jets to make them go all in. So I mean, he showed him. It just didn't work out. And honestly, I mean, since Rex Ryan, who has been a successful coach for the Jets?
Great point.
I can't name one.
I can
do that.
Even before Rex, I still can't name one. So yeah,
it was a flash of the pan,
Right. Yeah. Indeed. Okay. All right. Talk about another team that's mired in dysfunction. Talk about the Raiders.
Man.
Yeah. So who's Tom Brady going to pick? I'm projecting, but yeah, who's Tom Brady or the Davis family going to pick for their new head coach? Which they're on coach 5 in 6 years.
Yep.
Is that what we're talking about? So
that is correct.
$50 million in dead money for coaches. They got more dead money in cap hits than most teams in the NFL do for players. But okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thankfully, coach's salary don't count against the cap.
Yeah, no kidding.
Thankfully. Yes.
All right. Yeah. So for the Raiders here, I'm gonna go with a name that wasn't on the list you showed a little bit earlier in the video.
I like that.
And I'm gonna go maybe hinting at the Tom Brady hire. I think Tom Brady's gonna hire a sibling of his. I think he's gonna go with Joe Brady from the Bills, the offensive coordinator. They were looking, like you mentioned, Raiders are looking for something on offense. Anything on offense. You have the number 1 overall pick this year. Most people are projecting it to be Mendoza. You're going to want to get a coach in there who knows offenses, can mold QBs, something Joe Brady has done. Obviously, Coach Joe Burrow in LSU, Josh Allen now in the NFL. I mean, he's got some high, level of talent QBs that he's coached. So that's something you absolutely want for your for your number 1 overall pick QB. Already mentioned the Tom Brady influence. He says that he wants to, in this coaching search, look for a strong offensive-minded guy. Joe Brady fits all those boxes. I mean, the pedigree, he's the guys that he's worked with. And yeah, I just think, to shout out what Cap said on the Lockdown Blitz, by the way, check that out if you haven't already. He mentioned that you want to hire the offensive coordinator as the head coach to avoid him leaving in a year or two. So you want to lock that guy down, give him the bag. I think this is the perfect move for the Raiders, trying to get younger, trying to get more innovative. The last, like you mentioned, 4 or 5 head coaches they've had have been all old, I don't want to say washed. Yeah,
has-beens.
That's a much nicer way of, absolutely. So yeah, I just think it makes the most sense. I personally would hate to see it because in the same season you're losing Minter, the Raiders get one of the best offensive minds right now in the league. Yeah. Man, that and with that running game and Genty, I don't even want to think about it. I hope I'm wrong, but I needed to be truthful and non-biased in my take. So yeah, give me Joe Brady to the Raiders.
I'm not mad at it.
I don't hate it.
Yeah, I don't hate it either because they get a clone in like is James Cook-esque in Genty.
Yeah.
So yeah, why not? That's a great pick, man. I can't say nothing wrong about it. I liked it. I like it. Honestly, I mean, from a football perspective, from a football purist perspective, because we all have that on this network. Although we are fans of our teams, we still have football purists in our blood, and we want to see certain things for the league. It just make it more competitive and make it more exciting. So that would be great. I love that hire. That's a good one. So hopefully the Raiders are listening.
Yeah, hopefully. Hey, and
we'll
if they're
see.
listening,
Time will tell.
Yes.
Yeah. If they're listening, hey, looking for a job in sports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you, RG. I when I did it as thinking we were doing all of them, I had a similar flavor pick. I think they're going to go young offensive mind to hopefully grow and build with who we all think they're taking number 1. That just seems like the smart move.
It does. And maybe they can retain Patrick Graham as a defensive coordinator because he hadn't been bad for them. So they retain him and can get Joe Brady. That's a slam dunk for me.
Be crazy. He'd be the DC through 3 coaches,
which shows you how
which is a good sentiment to how good he is. But that's just like wild to think about.
It is. Okay. All right. Bring us home with your third pick. Who do you think the Giants should get?
Yes, sir. So I feel like I've kind of hit it out of the park with these first two. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So I definitely,
Yeah.
definitely
You're cooking right now.
gotta bring
Don't
gotta
catch
bring
the
it
pan
home.
on fire, but
So for my last one for the Giants, I hinted at this earlier. Again, if you haven't checked out the Lockdown Blitz, be sure to check it out. I hinted at this earlier as this would make sense, from my opinion, for this head coach to go here. Give me John Harbaugh. I think it just makes the most sense. He goes to a bigger market team. I don't think the Cardinals or the Titans are really interesting him. I think he wants big market. He's been in it. Let me take that back. He's made Baltimore a big market. Just with their success that they've had, obviously not a big market area, but he's made them must talk TV, so I think he just brings that level of experience, obviously Super Bowl winning head coach. So I don't even need to get into all the accomplishments and accolades he's had. It's a damn library list long. So the Giants are getting an established head coach, which is what they've been lacking for such a long time. The Giants have, come out and said that he is their top coaching candidate. So they have the money. They could definitely move heaven and earth to try to get him there. He gets a young, I say this tepidly. Do not come at me in the comments for this.
Or do, because they do.
That's true. I think he gets a younger, similar mold Lamar Jackson type in Jackson Dart. Now, obviously, Jackson Dart's going to have to rein that running back because he's going to get hurt before he even lasts, to the end of his rookie contract in this league. But I think Harbaugh, knows how to work with a mobile QB. He just needs to get the right offensive mind in there with him. I just think the one thing that is stopping this, and maybe it's a stipulation that, hey, you hire me, this guy's got to go, Joe Shane. I think that is the biggest roadblock right now for the Giants. And I think if the Giants are smart and the Giants want to go back to winning football, you let him go and bring in John Harbaugh, let John hire his own GM. And I know that kind of sets a bad precedent where, a guy who's supposed to be under this position is bringing this position in. But really the best GM head coach pairings are the ones that work in unison. They don't look at it as like I'm above you, I'm going to make decisions. No, I mean, not to be a homer here, but look at Ortiz and Harbaugh. I think that is a perfect representation of a GM and a head coach that are in sync, locked in, knowing what they want to do together, make team decisions together. And I just think, John Harbaugh, he's everything you want in a head coach. And obviously it didn't work out in Baltimore. I think it's similar to the Tomlin, we've talked about those parallels multiple times over the course of the season where it just grew stale. I think Lamar kind of had a little bit of resentment towards him towards the end of his, tenure there. So both sides just needed a fresh start, but John Harbaugh in no way, shape, or form is a bad head coach. This would be a slam dunk hire for the Giants.
I like it. And then hell, Leon Cohen did it. You see, he said the GM you got right now got to go. If you got to get rid of Trent Baalke, he got to go. And I'm not mad at him.
That worked out pretty well for Jackson.
Yeah, I was just funny.
Exactly. So yes, I definitely think that they should do that and get rid of him, bring his own guy and let them be in lockstep. Because clearly, when he is paired with the right GM, they make wonders in the draft, and and they roster build the proper way. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. So listen, you 3 for 3, buddy. I can't be mad at you. Way to start this video off.
Appreciate it.
Cooking.
Yeah, for sure. Like
ripping.
Hottest fish grease out here. Yeah, I like it. All right, so let's talk AG's picks. You got the Cardinals, the Falcons, and the Browns. So, well, let's start with the Cardinals. I know that's one of the teams that you had your eye on throughout the our coverage throughout the year in 2025. You did call the Gannon firing. You were one of the few that thought that right. Woj bomb.
Yeah.
EG bomb.
What is happening in Arizona?
There you go. So, who do you think will be the best fit to replace John Gannon in Arizona?
Yeah, so my pick for the new head coach, and I will say I think Arizona and Tennessee, I guess two of the ones I'm picking here are definitely some of the lesser appealing jobs out there, just with their situation and kind of where they're picking in the draft and whatnot. But I think with Arizona, they're going to hire Clint Kubiak, the Seattle coordinator. Try to inject. They went the defensive route with Gannon. That obviously didn't work out. You didn't even have solid defense. I think they're moving on from Kyler Murray. And I think with Kubiak, he kind of brings the best of both worlds, and obviously a great offensive mind, been successful at multiple stops, and I think has made the most out of, limited quarterbacks he's had to operate with. So, whether they move on from Kyler or maybe he can find a new way to get what they can out of him. But either way, I think Kubiak's a guy, and, will help them influx their offense and, develop whoever they decide to go with as their QB of the future. And I think they just kind of take the opposite approach from what they did this last time, going with the DC.
Yeah, that's interesting too. He'll be in the division as the head coach, facing his old team. That'd be interesting.
You say that influx, to try to fix that offense. It might be a complete overhaul of that offense.
Yeah.
Is what's needed.
Right. Yeah, it's. They've requested a lot of people to interview. Some definitely head scratching ones, but I think just looking at the list of who they've requested, you can see the theme is they want an offensive minded guy, and I think that's to help kind of transition into what this new look Cardinals will look like. And I think Kubiak's the man for the job, so to speak.
Okay.
Real quick hot take on the Cardinals. I think they should keep Jacoby Brissett as their QB next year.
Think so.
Yeah. I mean, where are they picking? I should have looked that up.
Four, I think. Like four. Yeah.
Three.
My bad.
Three.
And with Dante Moore withdrawing from the draft, this is as bottom of the barrel of a QB draft as there is. It wouldn't hurt to, maybe they suck another year, but you might have a choice at a better quarterback.
Yeah. Jacoby Brissett is an idea. Maybe because I think Mac Jones could garner some looks from it being a quote unquote starter again. So yeah, I mean, I would definitely go out there, maybe one of them, at least a stopgap or a bridge until you find your guy. Or if you think that one of these other guys that may need some time, like Nussmeier or Aller or somebody like that, just might need some time to sit, maybe a couple of years, bring in Mac Jones and let him be the bridge, and then they'll figure out if they have their guy or not. And if they do suck because Mac Jones isn't producing, they still can go back in the draft and get another guy.
True.
So I kind of thought about that too, where they could, bring in an offensive guy and say, all right, Kyler, like, this is your last chance, like, if this guy can't get anything out of you, because it's going to be expensive to move on from him.
It is.
So, I mean, it's kind of the same thought process. We roll it back. Either we figure some things out or we're in the same boat and
right.
We're picking in a better QB class. But yeah, so that's Arizona. With Atlanta, I will say, one of my Atlanta pick has already been chosen, but I'm going to go ahead and note it again, and then I'll note some potential pivots. But I picked the big man John Harbaugh to be the coach of the Falcons, and the X factor for me was the fact that Joe Shane's still the GM in New York, and Harbaugh, I think, announced very early that he wanted to go somewhere that would allow him to pick his GM. I think Atlanta has a lot to offer in terms of, pretty big market themselves.
Yep.
Arguably the most winnable division in the NFC South. They have a lot of key pieces there, and I think Arthur Blank showed, 2 cycles ago when he almost got Bill Belichick, that he's willing to spend at least willing to spend whatever, probably not give up as much control, but to get a, top established candidate and not have these, guys plucked from other coaching trees to see if they got, the chops to be a head coach. And I think with, Matt Ryan bringing new blood into the mix too as the president of football operations, I think it just all makes sense for Harbaugh to be that guy in Atlanta, pick his GM, find an offensive guy. I think really the only shaky thing with Atlanta is the QB situation with Penix and Cousins. But look at, they got a great offensive core with Bijan and London, maybe Pitts. Defensive side of the ball, pretty sneakily good. They were up there in pressures this year. Got James Pierce, who had a hell of a rookie year. So a lot of promising things to build around there, and you're in the NFC South. So they're young. They're young. Yes. So, my pick was John Harbaugh for the Falcons, but assuming he goes to New York, and just to add in the caveat, my pick for New York was Mike McCarthy, from the understanding that they would go all in on Harbaugh, not get him, go all in on one of these other big names, not get them, and settle for Mike McCarthy at the end of the day. That'd just be like the New York Giants thing to do there,
Giants fans would be on suicide watch if that happened.
Yeah, it'd be rough.
But I think some pivots if Harbaugh's gone. I would look at potentially a Stefanski, like an offensive minded guy. I think they want to find someone that's established to some degree, because they're the last couple coaches they've had, or at least Raheem Morris, like didn't really have that type of experience. So I think that's something they're going to value. But there's not many of those candidates out there, and I don't think Daboll gets a job this time, so I'm not going to put him in the mix. But I think Stefanski, or look at one of these other promising D coordinators like an Evero or someone like that. But Harbaugh was my pick for the Falcons, so I'm gonna note it again.
Okay.
I guess we'll see which one of us is right.
Right, gotcha. All right, so okay, so since Harbaugh taken, we'll put Mike McCarthy down. Is that what you said?
No, I said that for the Giants.
Yeah.
I said Stefanski.
Yeah, Stefanski. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so we'll put Stefanski down and as
with an asterisk by it.
Right.
Alternate.
yeah. Alternate.
Okay. All right. So speaking of teams he's coached, the Browns.
Cleveland.
Yes. So what do you think about them and who they should pick for head coach?
Yeah, so the Browns one's kind of interesting, because I mean, from all reports I read, kind of looking into it, they want to keep their defense intact. They want to keep Jim Schwartz there, which I think's weird. Like, why wouldn't you just make him the head coach then? Which they did interview him, but I think they're going to look for an offensive-minded guy that wouldn't mind not really having to put thought into who would be his defensive personnel.
Mm-hmm.
But I think offensive mind is the way they're going with the head coach. And so my pick is Mike McDaniel from the Dolphins, because at the same time, like, it's also Cleveland. I mean, how many people are going to be knocking on the door to get a job there?
Right.
But like I said, I think looking for an offensive-minded coach that's not going to really care to have much say in the defense and keep Schwartz there, keep the defense intact. McDaniel has coached for the Browns in the past. He was a wide receiver coach there in 2014. I mean, you can say what you want about him, but he is an innovative offensive mind. He has shown that he can get the most out of, chicken scratch at times,
Right.
with Tua, and I mean, made Tua look good enough for them to pay him a lot of money. And I think he's just the ideal candidate to get in. Maybe see if you pivot in the draft this year, or see what he can get out of Shedeur Sanders and build around that. But my pick is Mike McDaniel for the Browns.
All right. Okay. Good stuff.
It's funny you mentioned that, he got Tua paid. I saw like a post that was something along the lines of like, Mike McDaniel was such a great head coach, but he was too good of a head coach because he got the absolute most out of Tua possible. And now he's like, shit, now I'm stuck with it.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Good stuff. So yeah, let's talk about the last three guys on this list. The Dolphins, the Titans, and the Steelers. Now, I admittedly say I think you stole my my Titans pick, RG. I had a good one for that. I had Robert Saleh actually going there and then fixing that reclamation project, getting the defense right, and building a culture there. But I got another name in mind in that space as well. But we'll get to the Dolphins first. So the Dolphins, I think that they need to, I guess you could say, reset, because I think they were on to something when they were had Brian Flores as their head coach. He built a culture there, in my opinion. He had them guys playing tough, hard-nosed, gritty defense. He just knew what we all knew, but the organization didn't want to admit that Tua wasn't a guy. So clearly, years later, we found all that out. So, they learn from their mistakes in a certain bit in regards to that, and they go out and get themselves another defensive-minded guy by the name of Vance Joseph. I think Vance Joseph comes in and does the same thing, more like, I guess, a remix version of what Flores did. Build the defense back up, get them playing well. Find himself a rock solid OC, and they got to find themselves a new quarterback, which is questionable on what they have to do because they don't pick high. Their money isn't great from a cap perspective. Like, I'm just not sure what they do. This is one of the more head scratching moments for me. in regards to what they do at quarterback, because they're actually negative in the cap space right now. They're literally $31 million in dead money, if cap space right now. So they're in the hole. So you're in the hole. You gotta, indeed, if you get rid of Tua, that's gonna be more money that you gotta part with, because his contract, boy, it is
Tyreek too.
Yeah, Tyreek too. So you gotta get up under those contracts. So yeah, I would give Van Joseph a long runway to get this together because of what he's dealing with. But I think they'll be a good hire because their defense, is definitely atrocious. I think they need to bring in a guy that has a pedigree of building tough, gritty offense and defense and getting that together, and hopefully whoever's OC is can fix the offensive side of the ball. But it's a heavy lift. It's a heavy lift no matter who you pick. So I think you need a guy that's gonna have some patience and some toughness and gets respect in the room. So I think that Van Joseph will be a good hire for the Dolphins. But no matter who goes there, like I said, it's a heavy lift. That's why I didn't buy the Harbaugh rumors, because there's no way you want to leave Baltimore and go to Miami for the warm weather and the no state tax just to build that up and have to wait years to be competitive. So that's a head scratcher for me. So I don't buy the fact that he's going there. So yeah, we'll see where things go. But I like Van Joseph in that job.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, so the Titans is an interesting one because, like I said, I thought Robert Saleh might be a good fit because he's another culture guy. They need a lot of help and need a lot of work. They have some pieces on offense and defense. O-line is pretty solid. They got their quarterback, Cam Ward. They're rookies that they drafted, DK and a few others, El Manor and those guys. Shaker Concord. They're promising prospects. And if you didn't have the right coaching, they could definitely be something. So outside of Robert Saleh being a guy, I think that the next guy will probably be a proven guy and a guy that can really get the best offensively out of Cam Ward would be Mike McCarthy. I think Mike McCarthy would be a guy that could come in there because you can say what you want about Mike McCarthy, but his offense produces. He got a lot out of Dak. He got a hell of a lot out of Aaron and those guys in Green Bay. So, he may not be the biggest culture guy, but he definitely will have the offense humming because that was the biggest struggle this year. They just couldn't sustain good offense, and I think that if he finds himself a nice, motivated DC, and that will help build that defense back up, and they got to draft well in the next year and have a good free agency period because I think they're up there. I think they're third in cap space. So they got money. So you give them runway with a good amount of money. They're picking high in the draft. So I think that they could really turn this around and be at least 8, 7, 9, 8, 9, 7, 10, 8, 9 team. This coming year if they can turn the offense around. So I like Mike McCarthy going to the Titans as a secondary option. And that's
to even further your point there too. He's just a floor raiser. He gets double-digit wins. Yeah. Regular season after regular season, that's something the Titans are desperately looking for.
Yes. I mean, so I think that he might not be there long, honesty, but I think that he can raise the bar for them, and maybe he can
set the standard for him,
set the standard and groom his replacement, because I don't think he was a coach forever, at his age. So he can not only build them back up to prominence and then put a successor right in place to take it forward once he's done. So whoever that guy might be, somebody in his pipeline that he might be his OC or his quarterback coach, whatever he wants to do, because we all know OCs get poached. So, your quarterback coach, he could be your successor, and he will hold on and stick with McCarthy as long as he wants to be there. And then once he's done, hand the keys off to him. Cam Ward's in place, young quarterback, so he needs for the next 4 years, you got him on a rookie deal. Why not? I think he can turn it around. I like Mike McCarthy going to the Titans.
Yeah, I like it.
And finally, for the Steelers, and I broke this news on the Lockdown Blitz, shameless plug again, as RG had mentioned earlier. I think that Brian Flores is primed to be the next head coach for the Steelers. I think that Mike Tomlin had this in place. He not only set them up to be competitive now, but he set them up for the future and say that once I step down, this guy should be your next guy, because again, you're familiar with him for him being your DC a couple of years ago. He's been a head coach in this league. We all know that he can coach defense. I think he will raise the level of play in that defensive room once again. Because I could argue that when he was there, they were better on defense than they were in the previous years after that, and upcoming years after that. So I think that having him in the room, coach setter, he sets the standard. He's from the Belichick tree. I think that he will ultimately, be the standard, and he will have a long runway because Steelers don't fire coaches. So, even if they're bad for a year, they can go out there and get themselves a quarterback. I even heard some Arch Manning rumors there. If they were bad this year, they can go out there and get Arch Manning to be the future. And he's off and running. So he can right the wrongs of not having to be able to pick his quarterback once he's in place with him and Tua, that debacle in Miami years ago. So, yeah, I like Brian Flores, going to the Steelers. And I think that's, I guess you can say, a Tomlin 2.0 move. And they'll just ride into the sunset. He can be there for, 10, 20 years, however long he wants to coach, because he's a younger guy. It's kind of like what they did with Tomlin. He brought him in as a young, position coach, and he was successful. So why not? Why not?
Was Flores the DC when Watt had his 22 sacks? Yeah.
Yes,
There you go. That's all you need to know. But yeah, I think it's crazy that the Steelers have only had 3 head coaches since 1969, and all of them were in their 30s when they were hired.
Yep.
Isn't that wild?
It is
Crazy.
wild. And how old is Brian Flores? Let's look it up real quick. So, because I know he's a younger guy. Age, he is 44.
Yeah, that's the new 30 now. So
basically, with all this medicine and technology,
44, basically 28.
Yeah.
Tom Brady. Tom Brady set the standard there.
Exactly. And he might be on that TB12 movement. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Indeed. All right. So as a quick review, so as I add my guys here, so I said that Vance Joseph going to the Dolphins. Let's put that in here. And we got
Mike McCarthy to the Titans.
Mike McCarthy to the Titans. And Brian Flores to the Steelers. So, yeah, there you have it. So, what we have top to bottom here, I got the Ravens getting Robert Saleh, the Steelers getting Brian Flores, the Giants getting John Harbaugh, the Falcons getting Kevin Stefanski, the Titans getting Mike McCarthy, the Dolphins getting Vance Joseph, the Raiders getting Joe Brady, and the Cardinals getting Clint Kubiak, and the Browns getting Mike McDaniel.
Boom.
I'm not mad at that cycle. I think that the league is going to be on notice, and they're going to have their hands full, but they're going to be really good fits for all those teams.
Yeah, I love that coaching that hiring sheet right there, because that means Jesse Minter stays in LA.
He ain't staying.
He ain't staying. Yeah, he probably gonna take the Ravens job before he takes the job. Yeah. But we can wish.
Yeah, we can hope.
Yeah.
There's always hope. So you're saying there's a chance.
You never know, though, man. Like, you look at Ben Johnson was a sought-out name for multiple years, and he would take interviews and be like, "Nah, I'm gonna wait," and he waited, till the prime opportunity. And look what happened. So, Minter could take that same approach if he's not feeling it. So,
true.
I mean,
here's hoping.
Yeah, you're telling me there's a chance.
Exactly. Okay. All right. So if you're looking for his squad at any facet, any place, any time, Commanders, Chiefs, or Chargers news, please hit them up on their social media platforms. They're all on Twitter or X, and some of them on Instagram. I think the only person but on Instagram is not there, is RG. So so hit them up in their spaces if you got any questions for their teams or NFL news in its entirety, or you just want to fight with them about their head coaching picks. Whatever you need to do. Yeah. Indeed. So if you're looking for the Lockdown Defense Sports Network any space, anytime, we are all on platforms, Lockdown Defense Sports on every platform except Twitter. Twitter give you a restriction on username, so we had to shorten it. So Lockdown Defense on Twitter, everything else is Lockdown Defense Sports. Hit us up, any place, anytime. We can get you information about the network, or you need any NFL questions answered that we didn't get to. So so that's gonna do it for us, man. So we're gonna get up out of here, and like I said, check out all our content Monday through Friday on this network, and we'll be back on Friday with another video. So in the meantime, between time, that is Young RG. That is the real AG Alice Gamers, and I'm Coach Defense. And until we see you again, you got to do one thing and one thing well. You got to step up and lock it down.